Hello and welcome to the very first Trail with Purpose Forum. I'm Monica Delaveau and I'm happy to be leading the UTWT Trail Running Sustainability Awareness Project. Today we are going to be talking about the economic and social impact of trail running events on the territory where they take place. So before we start, I'd like to just briefly remind everybody what sustainability actually means. So the basic definition: sustainability focuses on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And sustainability is made up of three main pillars: the economy, society, and the environment. In other words, these pillars are informally referred to as profit, people, and the planet. Most often in discussions, the focus is on environmental sustainability. But true sustainability also includes both social and economic dimensions under the umbrella of what commonly is referred to as triple bottom line sustainability. Today we will be addressing the economy and social sustainability. And so when major sporting events are successful, they can bring long-term benefits for the economy, society, and the environment. These events provide the host territory with a good opportunity to send a positive message to the world. Today, our goal here is to share ideas alongside experts and event organizers on sustainability in trail running. Trail running, as we know, the trail running events are growing globally, and it is so important that we put a goal of a protocol and a structure in place for sustainability across all global trail running events. So I'm here with Marie Sammons. Hello, Marie, the director of the UTWT. Thank you for joining us. So Marie, very first question, very simple question. Why did you start Trail with Purpose?
Well, we started Trail with Purpose with starting thinking strongly about sustainability in 2020 when we had this quite special year. And then we felt that the Ultra World Tour was seen as a competitive series, and we wanted to add another additional and very meaningful value to the Ultra World Tour. So this idea of Trail with Purpose and just having people conscious about the environment when they go and practice the sport, or when, as organizers, they start developing events. So by looking at the Ultra World Tour events, we realized there were incredible initiatives already in place, that a lot of events were, doing a lot of things, but were not necessarily communicating on those beautiful initiatives. So we decided that this first year, we would be really the platform, like a platform where there's an opportunity for the events to really showcase all their good initiatives and to start really talking more about it, taking good ideas, etc. And also involving the full community, so the elite runners, but not only, like the full community. So yeah, that's why we're very excited that this is taking the form and that we're starting this big plan.
Early on, are they excited about it? Do they understand the meaning and the purpose behind it? Do they see the good that will come if a structure is put in place?
Definitely, they absolutely. The reaction was completely very great reaction from the elite aspect, and other runners. They just brought up some of their own engagement, so it was very interesting to see that the full community is 100% ready.
Definitely ready, especially the scale that trail running is taking more and more. So we are ready for Trail with Purposes.
Definitely.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you for being here. And we're going to see you at the end of our discussion here to wrap up the various topics discussed with our guests. So thank you, Marie. And now I would like to welcome to the Plateau Ingrid Butler. Is a professional cyclist, graduate in law, political science, and geography from New Zealand, with a master's in international law from Geneva. For the last 20 years, she's been working with international organizations to harness the power of sport to drive social change and sustainability. The last 5 years, she was head of integrity at the International Olympic Committee. and prior to that, Director of Social Responsibility and Integrity at the General Association of International Sports Federations, as well as many years with the UN Office on Sport for Development and Peace. Since 2020, she's been working independently, helping organizations like FIFA, UN agencies, and other sports to do what is good and right for their people and the planet. Wow, that's quite the impressive resume, Ingrid. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. And we do have another expert that I'll be inviting to come here join us on the set. It's Olivier Bessy. Olivier is a sociologist specializing in sport, leisure, and tourism. He is a university professor at the Social Sciences and Humanities College at the University of Pau. He directs the master's program in tourism at the same university. He has a very long resume and CV as well. He's a consultant for local authorities and companies on the evolution of outdoor sports and running in our society, on sports and tourism innovation, as well as on the contribution of events to the sustainable development of territories. He's already published numerous books, including three renowned events, namely the Marathon du Médoc in 1994, the Grand Raid de la Réunion in 2002, and the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc in 2012. He is now finishing yet another book on the three evolutions of running between the time frame of 1968 to 2019. He's a former 800-meter runner, a marathon runner, and has evolved into trail running himself. He even ran the CCC a few years ago. So I'd like to now invite Olivier. Olivier will be bouncing back and forth, mostly in French with Ingrid English, a very international set here today. So we have the two experts who will be joining us, but we also have on video, we have three organizers from the Ultra Trail events across the world. We have Cécile from the Ultra Trail Haricana from Canada. We have Isabelle Vissiu-Poletti from the UTMB here in France. And we have Martin Kotra from the 100 Miles of Istria in Croatia. So they will be joining us on video. There we go. Okay, we can see them now. Hi, you guys. Hi, Cécile. Hi, Isabelle. Hi, Martin. Thank you for being with us. So first of all, we're going to start with Cécile from Haricana. Good morning, Cécile, or good afternoon. Are you in Canada or are you in Europe? Where are you, Cécile?
I'm in Lyon presently. I'm originally from France. I live in Canada since 10 years from now.
Okay.
I've been running since about 15 years, something like that. First on road, small distance, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. And when I was children, I spent all my vacation at Les Contamines Montjoie near the Mont Blanc. And every year I saw the people coming there training for the UTMB, and I was just like, oh my God, those guys are crazy. I became a volunteer for UTAC 5 years ago, and I fell in love with this organization because of their value and because of the things they develop specifically with the topic we have today, everything they do with the social community and to make the country and the region where the race is growing and put the light on this region.
So maybe first we'll just backtrack a little bit, give a teeny tiny bit of an insight of what the Haricana race is in just a few words. You will be celebrating the 10th anniversary this year of the UT Haricana, so congratulations first off on that. So félicitations. And so the Haricana is in Canada, as we mentioned prior, and which Canada, as we all know, we saw the beautiful images of the rich ecosystem and the wild backcountry of Canada. We just have these visions of mountains and lakes and moose and bears, and so to be able to go into this environment is absolutely extraordinary to be able to host Ultra Trail there. And from knowledge, there are quite a few distances actually that the Haricana event has. The long distances of 125K, 80K, 65, and 42. But it's also accessible to runners who maybe don't want to partake in those extreme challenges. So there are also distances of 28, 20, 10, and even a 5K. So very broad spectrum available to all different types of runners. So today with you, Cécile, we're going to be talking about the first pillar of sustainability. We'll be addressing the economic sustainability. And again, quick definition on economic sustainability. It refers to the practices that support long-term economic growth without negatively impacting social and environmental aspects of the community. So Cécile will be chatting to us about Harricana's actions that promote the local economy. So now, Cécile, I leave it to you to tell us how Harricana promotes the local economy in Canada.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I want to come back to the missions of the Harricana organization. Since the beginning, it was very important for us, like I said, to sustain the community and be part of the local community. So our mission is to promote and to participate to the development of the trail running, either in Quebec, but also in the rest of the country, and also to promote outdoor and the healthy style by organizing events and that benefit to social and community causes. So that is something very, it's our DNA, definitely, that we wanted to do a race that take care of the community, and either on the social aspect, but also in the economic aspect.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And from an economic standpoint, for example, why did you choose the date of September?
UTWT event held the second weekend of September, which is the weekend just after Labor Day. It is at the end of the summer season. And when we choose the date, we realized that at that period of time, people are back at, children are back at school, people are back at work, and it was a period of time where the season, the touristic season, was a little bit lower. It comes back a little bit later with the fall season and the color season. A lot of people are coming specifically in that region at that period of time, so they were a little hole at that time. In September, and that was the first reason why we decided to put the race at that time. So even if it was more difficult for the athletes to participate, we thought that there were really something to do for the tourists, for the tourism economic. It has a very, very strong impact, in fact, in this industry, because when we mostly have 2,000 runners for the weekend, usually for the big weekend of the race. So imagine 2,000 runners plus all their families, all those people coming in the regions. That means all the hostel, all the accommodation and everything are fully booked. Also, the restaurants are fully working, and it was a very good, it has a very, very strong impact on the region for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Going on to the next points beyond just the date itself, I know that you do really make an effort to use as many local products and source locally as much as possible. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so it was very, very important for the organization to give priority to regional partners. We realized that you can have a lot of goodies looking at that time, but the most important for people and for people who come to run is not what they can have, but it's the experience, and telling them that things are done in the region and that we are doing things locally and we are participate to that type of experience. So the type of things we do, it's to put in light all the product and the services of the region. And specifically, I want to say the food things. Charlevoix, where the run held, is one of the most important region in Quebec, where you will have some farmers. We have a lot of meat coming from that region. So it was, we decided to use products from the local organization and from local place for our ravitaux, by example. Mm-hmm. So, and we do that with farmers. So we have some farmers like cheese. We have some specific cheese in that region that you can find in one ravitaux. And you also will find some product from the bakery of the village where the run held. And what we do is that we announce at each ravitaux, we tell the runners, next one, you're going to have that product. Oh. And it comes from that place. We have a post-race meal that is given to local producers. So again, we put in light all the product of the region, but also usually we use a cooker from the region as well. So it's a little bit more expensive than having like a ham sandwich or something like that, but it's very well appreciated by all the runners and the community. And we all know that at the end of a trail race, everybody wants to get their beer. We have a partnership with the local brewery in the region, which was also very important for us about that. The thing is about Le Mont Grand Fond Ski Center, which is the place where the race ended every year, and every time it's a very small ski center, and we try to put them again on the stage and to give them visibility all around Quebec, to help them continue to do what they do very well in during winter, which is providing ski activities to the people.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Cecile. That was very thorough, and it's just really very quite obvious and apparent, even though your topic is focused on the local businesses supporting the local economy, but we could see through the vision of supporting local businesses, we're also hitting the environmental sustainability element of one of the three pillars, because we're not using transport to bring things in left and right in regards to the food. We're not using too much gas emissions, et cetera, et cetera. So even though, yes, it definitely helps the economy tremendously, which is one of the very important pillars, but it also helps the environment by keeping things local. So very, very good. Thank you very much, Cecile. Now we're going to be turning Cecile's actions and going even further into depth with Olivier. On remarque que les événements sportifs sont souvent des événements clés pour l'économie locale et sont parfois même un moment incontournable dans la saison estivale. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose qui est propre au trail running ou est-ce qu'on retrouve ça dans tous les sports?
Alors, on retrouve ça dans d'autres sports tels que la randonnée en général, ou le surf, ou le parapente, ou les eaux vives, ou encore, je dirais, l'escalade. Mais dans le domaine de la course à pied, il est évident qu'en période estivale, les grands marathons ont plutôt lieu au printemps et à l'automne. Et en été, c'est vraiment le trail qui prend le relais pour développer l'économie des territoires. Et du coup, joue un rôle et tient une place extrêmement originale dans ce développement économique, parce que le trail et les ultra-trails obligent les pratiquants à avoir un rapport très particulier au territoire, à la nature, qu'ils explorent de manière extrêmement forte, profonde. Ils s'engagent énormément dans une course qui est longue, avec un effort, avec du dénivelé. Et donc il y a un rapport très, très étroit, presque très sensible, très émotionnel à la nature, avec aussi beaucoup d'incertitudes liées au climat, liées à leur capacité de résistance à l'épreuve, liées aussi je dirais, au froid qui peut s'abattre, hein. Donc à la neige que l'on peut rencontrer, notamment sur les trails de montagne comme l'ultra-trail du Mont Blanc. Et du coup, ils ont quand même une certaine un petit peu angoisse qu'ils arrivent à maîtriser, mais ils viennent aussi du coup en amont préparer, reconnaître le parcours, se familiariser pour diminuer cette incertitude qui sera toujours présente, mais ils cherchent à la diminuer. Ce qui fait qu'économiquement, le trail amène souvent les gens à venir bien avant l'épreuve pour s'entraîner sur le terrain, prendre de l'information en fait. Et pendant l'épreuve, ils vivent des sensations extrêmement fortes et ça va les amener à avoir envie de revenir après en famille pour parcourir ces lieux qui les ont fait vibrer avec leurs proches, avec leurs amis. Donc aussi bien avant l'événement qu'après, le trail va générer des retombées extrêmement importantes et bien entendu pendant, puisque beaucoup viennent accompagner et restent bien plus longtemps que le trail dure.
Et du coup, on a remarqué en fait que 90% des coureurs restent au moins une nuit sur site. Et il y a beaucoup qui prolongent aussi le séjour pendant le week-end de course, qui vont faire ça quand même presque comme des vacances autour de leur course.
Ouais, je pense que c'est une tendance sur laquelle il faut réfléchir, ça. Comment augmenter la durée du séjour?
Tourisme, sport, par rapport à un tourisme sans sport, C'est pas forcément le même.
Non, c'est différent. Le touriste sportif, il vient avant tout à Chamonix pour découvrir, ou sur un territoire pour découvrir ce territoire, et il va faire un peu de sport, mais c'est pas ça qui leur a fait venir. C'est pas ça qui va structurer le choix de la destination. Alors que lorsqu'on participe à un ultra trail partout dans le monde, c'est le sport, l'ultra, le trail, qui est le déclencheur de la venue dans la destination. Et le tourisme se fait après, en même temps et après.
Et est-ce que ce ne serait pas intéressant quelque part que ça vient en même temps? Comme ça, pour l'économie, ça soutient l'économie, que les gens ils savent en amont où ils vont. Et du coup, ça leur ouvre un petit peu plus les esprits, les idées, comment ils peuvent mettre ça en amont. Du coup, est-ce qu'ils jouent le rôle d'un office de tourisme quelque part?
C'est vrai que ça, c'est une vraie question. C'est un nouveau champ de recherche qui est en train de se développer, dans la mesure où, pendant longtemps, on a vendu un dossard. Mais il n'y avait pas de package au niveau de l'hébergement, au niveau de quelques conseils sur la restauration, mais pas plus que ça, et surtout pas de visite accompagnée, beaucoup plus globale, beaucoup plus diversifiée à proposer aux trailers lorsqu'ils s'inscrivent, et de manière à finalement augmenter la durée de leur séjour, parce que se déplacer aux quatre coins de la planète pour 2 jours, aujourd'hui, c'est quand même quelque chose qui est questionnant. Ouais. Donc je pense qu'on peut-être en faire moins de trail, mais en faire mieux et rester plus longtemps et s'approprier vraiment le territoire, faire du tourisme au sens noble du terme, c'est-à-dire s'approprier la culture locale, faire fonctionner l'économie locale, aller à la rencontre des habitants, comprendre l'histoire locale, s'approprier presque l'identité du lieu et pas être un simple consommateur du Mont Blanc en oubliant ses habitants. Le trailer n'est pas meilleur ou plus mauvais en soi que quelqu'un d'autre, mais disons que sa pratique, qui est très ancrée sur la ressource naturelle, il n'a pas envie que la ressource, elle disparaisse. Il a envie, au contraire, de la bonifier, de la conserver, en lien avec l'ensemble des prestataires qui l'exploitent sur le territoire où se déroule l'événement. Donc le trailer, lui, aujourd'hui, il va vraiment rechercher à bonifier ce territoire plutôt qu'à le piller, entre guillemets.
Et est-ce que ce n'est pas aussi l'organisateur pour aider le trailer à avoir cette démarche? Du coup, c'est presque leur rôle pour mettre ça en amont, comme on disait tout à l'heure avec Marie, qu'il faut communiquer en amont, il faut dire aux gens et prendre le temps pour dire, OK, Trail with Purpose, par exemple, cette idée qu'on essaie de mettre en avant, c'est vraiment informer avant qu'ils arrivent. Et du coup, les bonnes pratiques qu'ils vont voir par rapport à les Instagram, les plateformes différentes, une fois sur place aussi, qu'après, ils prennent ça, ils appliquent ça dans leur vie quotidienne. Donc, ça va dans les deux sens.
Dans les deux sens, exactement. Mais sur le registre, on va dire, touristique général et sur le registre presque du mode de vie et de consommation, très respectueux de l'environnement, en leur proposant le partage d'une charte environnementale assignée, ce qui est fait très souvent, et aller au-delà de la charte en les amenant à prendre position et à faire des choix qui s'inscrivent finalement dans la finalité que cherche à développer l'événement. C'est-à-dire avoir un positionnement qui ne soit pas uniquement du greenwashing, mais vraiment un positionnement éco-responsable, très centré sur le respect des populations, en les impliquant, très centré sur le respect de la biodiversité locale, de manière à ce que les trailers fassent partie prenante de ce système-là.
Pour moi, ce que je comprends par rapport au greenwashing, c'est les organisateurs ou certaines personnes, organismes, ils peuvent faire semblant de vouloir faire les bonnes actions juste pour le marketing, pour dire « Ah, ben tiens, on fait ça, ça, ça », mais en fait, en réalité, la profondeur n'est pas là. Comment un peu, du coup, savoir du vrai, du faux?
Mais là, je pense qu'il faut aller au-delà du discours. Il n'y a de science que du cachet. Il faut gratter le vernis marketing du greenwashing pour voir effectivement si l'événement respecte l'ensemble des principes du développement durable. Sur le plan social, dans le rapport à l'individu, le rapport à l'individu aux autres, est-ce qu'il se dope ou pas, est-ce qu'il triche, tout ce rapport un peu à l'individu et aux autres dans la dimension sportive et dans son intégration, je dirais, dans l'écosystème local. Et puis, par rapport aussi à l'environnement. les principes de minimisation des nuisances, de l'empreinte écologique, éviter les gaspillages d'énergie, d'eau, avoir des attitudes plus responsables envers l'environnement. On ne peut pas faire fi de l'économie, mais donc une économie peut-être plus verte, une économie peut-être moins mercantile, de manière à ce que l'événement s'inscrive dans un cercle plutôt vertueux.
Quelle est la définition d'un trail durable pour toi, Olivier?
Un trail durable, c'est un trail qui va vraiment chercher à être le plus possible ce qu'on appelle un événement, un trail en transition. Aujourd'hui, on est dans une phase de transition sociétale, économique, environnementale, énergétique, touristique, sportive. On parle je pense qu'il faut vraiment penser l'événement dans l'écosystème humain, c'est-à-dire la population locale, les organisateurs, les bénévoles, les coureurs, les partenaires. Voilà, pour essayer de dégager, de définir tous ensemble un consensus, un cap vers lequel tout le monde va. Parce qu'on peut avoir des intérêts divergents selon la position que l'on occupe. À un moment donné, lorsqu'on participe tous à la même aventure, parce que ça reste une grande aventure pour tout le monde, un ultra-trail, eh bien, il faut arriver, je pense, à partager une culture commune, faite de valeurs communes, pour aller tous dans le même sens. Et donner une image qui soit une image, je dirais, homogène, exigeante et respectueuse.
So, social sustainability is a process for creating sustainable, successful places that promote well-being by understanding what people need from the places they live and work. So, social sustainability provides an infrastructure to support social and cultural life, social amenities, systems for citizen engagement, and spaces for people and places to evolve. So this is extremely important for companies that would like to raise their importance of social sustainability and recognize the significance of their relationships with people, the communities, and society. And social responsibility becomes part of their core strategy, and that's what we're here today to talk about, how trail running, the core strategy now needs to be really focused on being sustainable. Of course, as we mentioned, in the economy, now we're going to be talking about the social aspect and, of course, the environmental one as well. So before we move on to Ingrid, I'm going to say hello to Isabelle. So our next trail organizer guest is Isabelle from the UTMB. And just a quick recap for those who may be joining us. Hello, Isabelle. Hello. Isabelle is joining us in Chamonix. So the UTMB takes place the last week in August every year. This year, the 2021 edition is from August 23rd to the 29th with 7 different race formats. And this is the 18th edition, if I'm not mistaken, Isabelle? So the 18e edition? Right. That's right, the 18th edition, okay. And we have 110 countries represented, 2,500 volunteers that take part in the event, and the runners traverse 3 countries, which is so unique. They traverse France, Switzerland, and Italy in the various race formats. And today, Isabelle will be talking to us about the UTMB's evolution and growth and one of their actions on social sustainability. So, Isabelle, I leave you the floor to take us through the UTMB's evolution from the past all the way to the present.
I think that I don't need to present it in a very long term because it's a well-known ultra trail on the world. I think maybe the most well-known trail on the world. The adventure began, as you said, fantastic story. And I think that something very important on the growth of the UTMB is the focus of the humans, because UTMB will not be what it is without all the involved of all the population, athletes, shrub, volunteers, and all of this. And humans are very central on the UTMB story. I think that UTMB became a figure of the experience of the runner on the place. It's certainly one thing which is the most important, and the emotion make the events not only a race, but really an event. This is the solution one way. People that are touched by the event, not directly, but in not indirect way, like people that we can support with social or solidarity action. This well. And maybe I can speak about a little bit more about this solidarity action, because it's something that is very important, and that on the story of the UTMB.
Yes, it is, Isabelle. Yeah, the action for the solidarity bibs is absolutely incredible what the UTMB does every single year. As you mentioned previously, but I'll just recap that there's 15 different charities that the UTMB event supports, and that the runners, they can choose to support a charity beforehand. So they buy their solidarity bib, and that allows them to bypass the, oh, I didn't get a draw, I didn't get a place, so now I'm going to buy my solidarity bib. But no, you do it beforehand, so the cause, the energy, the will is there from the start, not because of the race that you wanted to, you know, help the charities, but because you truly have this desire to help the charities first and foremost, and then running is almost secondary. It gives you the goal and the determination, the motivation to run for these charities for the money that has been collected for them. And so it's worth noting that 15 different charities, 140 race bibs are sold, and then 420,000 euros that has been collected, which is absolutely phenomenal as a social action going to various parts of the world. It's not just charities in the Mont Blanc region. These are charities from all across the world, and of course runners can choose which ones that they want to support. And not only those 140 race bibs can support the charities, but also runners that are there over the entire UTMB week. The charities do have like a charity expo, if you will, with their tables and information. So runners can also come and get information about the various charities, and whether they want to give €1, €5, €100, whatever the case may be, it makes a huge impact for these people. And as Isabelle mentioned, just the fact to think of the idea that with 15 race bibs, 12 children were able to have heart surgeries. I mean, it's incredible. So it really goes a long way that these actions that these organizing committees are taking, and it needs to be put to the forefront because it's a big deal. So we do need to communicate it and let the runners know, because sometimes it might be like on the third, fourth, last page of the website. And I think it's really important that we do highlight these things, because it's a big deal. Like Olivier was saying earlier, runners are choosing now their races. They're being more selective on where they want to go, and this will impact their choice for sure, of knowing that they're running for a good cause and picking an area which is mindful of those things. Thank you for that, Isabelle. Maybe we'll just touch upon briefly on the volunteers as well, Isabelle, because that's an important part of the actions for the UTMB as well. You have 2,500 volunteers. That's huge.
Yes, it's huge. And it's a very big deal, because volunteers are the face of the event, and also all the runners see the volunteers. So it's very important that the volunteers are involved and happy with the event. And so we need to take care of them, because they give time, and we have to give them emotion. And we need to treat them as VIPs. So they give work, but with the smile, and it's very important. And for this, for example, we need to provide them a good donation. So give them some T-shirts from something like this. It's important. And to offer them also some special time with closing ceremony or with a celebration of the volunteers, something like this, in order to give them the feeling to be important, because they are already there, but it's important that they understand that they are just not just working people, and there are very important people that make the spirit of the event.
That's true. It's so important to treat the volunteers with respect and clothing them, feeding them, because they're out there for hours and hours on end. They're taking time off of work. They're taking time away from their families, but they're also there because they want to be there. The volunteers, obviously the word volunteer is a choice, but they're there for the solidarity of being part of the event, being outside in nature, being close to the athletes, and in their own way participating in these extraordinary global trail running events that they might not necessarily be able to run themselves. But one thing, Isabelle, last year the UTMB launched exactly that, a race specifically for the volunteers, the MCC, the 40-kilometer race. So that also is, it's like you guys did that as well. Not only are you taking care of them, but you're also launching this thing for the local population, because they're out there, they're supporting the runners, but it also gives them a chance to run before the event too.
Sure, and in fact, it's important to note that also the volunteer action is a social action, because very often we have on the volunteers some people who need to have a social link with the others, and so give them the opportunity to run or give them the opportunity to work. All of this is important in the social impact of the event on the territory, because the mountain and the trail are important, but the people are important also. And the event act has a social link between all the people and all the volunteers that take part of it.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much, Isabelle. Merci. And so we're going to go into more depth on the social aspect of sustainability with our expert, Ingrid. So we heard Ingrid's long, beautiful palmarès, her CV earlier. So now we're going to go into deeper questions.
To be here today. Indeed, we could say that the social aspect is almost the forgotten aspect, but we can be reassured in thinking that the whole what we call the sport for development movement, where the social impact of sports has been in place for decades, generations now. Even the UN, they appointed a special advisor on sport for development and peace as early as 2000. That was by Kofi Annan. And so now it's reassuring, however, that sustainability in the holistic, the circular sense, where we're thinking of all aspects, is truly becoming the norm of sports events organised. And by putting people at the heart of it, the social dimension is very much present. So I think we can be reassured that we're on the right track.
Mm-hmm. And is this something that's a trend, this social aspect? You mentioned it's been around for decades, but we don't hear about it. We hear about the environment, but we don't hear about the social part of it. So is it a trend, or is it something that's here to stay? And is it confirmed with the ultra trail organizers?
Well, I think the fact that we're here today is incredibly encouraging. The fact that we have Trail with Purpose launched, just recently as well. I think the trail running community has recognized the importance of addressing the three pillars, so not just the environment. I think the very nature of trail running is such that you're conducting the event in nature, in the most beautiful regions of the world, and it has been the environment that has been in a way a priority to start with. But I think now increasingly we're seeing the economic dimension with even the discussions today around tourism and the community impact, the buying of local products, that increasingly we're looking at the three pillars. They should be addressed, I'd say, holistically, the same weight given to each. The humans at the center. Massive impact globally.
And we know that sport is a social and solidarity promoter, which is something that we find in ultra races, not only on the trail, but off of the trail as well.
Sure, and I think the uniqueness with ultra trail is that it is, we can almost say, one of the most strenuous physical activities out there. I have great admiration for the trail runners themselves. So they're caring for themselves and have to know the limits physically of what they're capable of. And they're also, because of the nature that they're running in, the dangers that are there, the inherent risks, they care for one another as well. And I think the fact that the length of the training, the whole family that has to be involved, the friends that are there to support, to encourage, I think the entourage around a trail runner is almost even more extensive than in the other elite sports. The length of time of training, maybe more extensive. The nutrition, all the aspects that are linked with an ultra trailer is very expensive. So I think it is truly a promoter of the social dimension.
And it is a community, like you said. It goes beyond just the runner itself. It's the families that are coming. It's, of course, the food, the nutrition, the organizations, everybody really gathering together to make this beautiful event take place. And we do have a tendency to, often talk about the elite runners. And would you think, are elite runners recognized by the community for their performance or for their social example?
Olivier mentioned before about this community in transition, and I think we are in a phase of transition. And hopefully the ultra trail runners, the trailers of the world, will show the lead. We have a few of the elite ultra trailers who are really have recognized the fact that traveling around the world to international events, it's often the impact of their flights, the immense carbon emissions that are linked with one international flight, and they start to question that, and therefore it questions the whole structure of what elite racing is about. Do we focus more on fewer events of quality, or do we continue what was before COVID? And I think this whole experience with the COVID pandemic, where we have had to reset, we've had to rethink. I mean, I'm the worst person in that, traveling every couple of weeks, once a month, somewhere on this planet. And I think the elite runners have a particular role, a very, very important role, in creating the behavioural change that is necessary. If they're exemplary in their behaviour, they put pressure, they make the behavioural change of what becomes norm, and it becomes acceptable, and then we can make the change that is necessary.
So the strength of a trail running event on the local population, we spoke about earlier. So what's this influence that it can have on the rest of the world as a world event?
Or it can be massive, in the sense that we can think, even if we're linking sustainable tourism with the event. So an individual is going to primarily race. They're bringing their entourage with them. They decide that, yes, we'll stay for a little bit longer. And then other communities, they share the experience, the fact of this forum today, the fact of UTWT, UTMB, sharing of this good practice of works in different communities. Today we have Canada, we have Croatia, we have France, we have New Zealand, Switzerland, these different communities that are represented, and it's a sharing of the good practice of what works.
But it is also, as you said, we do need to reset, rethink, readjust, and regenerate. And trail running, it's not only an outdoor sport, but it's a lifestyle choice. And the feelings that are connected to nature do lead for desires to care for the natural world and contribute to the environment with friendly practices in everyday life. Buying locally, running locally, and as you say, just readjusting to be more conscientious of everyday actions and choices. Are we going to go to the other side of the world 3 times a year, or are we going to go once a year, but then do it in a smart manner? So lots of things to rethink in regards to how we're going to be moving forward. And do you have examples of how events promote social interaction between the runners, the companies, the publics, the locals?
Well, I think UTMB in general has been a good example in how much it's very anchored in the local community, working with local producers, really working with the local community, the village, the runners. I think that community that's been developed is a strong example of that positive direction that's going. There's many, many other examples. I like to think of my home country of New Zealand, where multi-day, multi-stage adventure racing, these long, extensive events are very much the norm, often going through quite remote communities. And that's where we can really see the local community, the runners, the athletes, their entourage, everyone is together. You're looking at considering transport solutions from when you get to the race. As public transport's provided, we think of the water, the food, the whole holistic dimension of it is
There's
taken
so
into
many puzzle pieces.
So it is a
that
puzzle.
do
It's
come
effectively,
together,
and they
so-
need to all come together. And no one event is perfect. None of us are experts in everything. That's also something I think we need to acknowledge. We need to work together. We need to work in partnership. We need to develop partnerships as well, which are often beyond just a sports event organizer. You do also need to understand what are your legal obligations as a lawyer. You know, it's really what are your legal obligations to make the minimum standard. Then often a sports event is showcasing of what can be done. The world looks at the finale in Chamonix often. You know, these are big events. So you can really influence change all around the planet by showcasing what is possible for an event.
And to what extent would people like yourselves, experts, come in to the ultra trail organization teams and really start educating, you know, all different puzzle pieces, as we mentioned? Because the water truck will come and, you know, deliver the water, but how far can it actually spread? It's all about education, but how can that be done?
Well, I think we have to think ambitiously as well, and we talk in the environmental space of, say, scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions with regard to greenhouse gas emissions. This will be in your third forum, you'll be discussing about that. But I think we all as individuals as well have to recognise our responsibilities, those that we can influence, set good standards ourselves, and then the outreach becomes bigger and bigger. We have to think, where do our t-shirts come from that we give to the volunteers? You think of that whole chain of supply. We as athletes, if we're going to go to an event, we have to think, okay, are we flying there? Are there public transport options here in Europe, for example? We can take the train. Has Chamonix provided public transport for when I arrive, you know, to get to this venue? Just that all of us, we all have a role to play, and I think that's the part of the wonder of it.
Yes, and just having that more and more natural as a reflex automatically. Oh, instead of taking my car by myself, okay, well, now I'm going to think, who can I covoiturage, sorry, the word in English, carpool, that's the word. So moving on to another topic now, just a little bit, shifting gears slightly to speak about the local community, the model of volunteering. The French love their volunteering and coming to the events. They're very passionate, and it's so wonderful to have the locals on the sidelines, at the events, at the finish line, at the aid stations, all along. I mean, if it wasn't for the volunteers, then, you know, the event, it would not be able to really to exist. Is volunteering as popular internationally as it is in France? And is it something that people are still continually motivated to do? Because the hours are long, they're on their feet, the weather conditions are not easy, it's hard work. So internationally, from an international perspective, you know, because the international ultra trail races, are the organizers able to get the volunteers, and how do they keep them motivated?
Right. Sure, it's a really good question. I think there's been many studies actually done on this, and we can, I mean, it's well calculated that the hours spent on volunteering is much surpasses that of paid professional sport, for example. So, I mean, effectively, amateur sport survives, and even professional sport survives because of the volunteers. It's a fundamental part of sport.
So now, the same question I asked Olivier earlier for you, Ingrid. How would you define a sustainable trail?
It's a hard question. Okay, I think it needs to be exemplary, and I'll just say what is outlined in it's called the ISO 2012-1 standard, which is a management standard for sustainable events. And there needs to be integrity, like 4 principles. I'd say integrity, inclusivity, stewardship, and transparency. So it's those 4 pillars that need to be really part of a good sustainable event.
Okay. We have one more ultra trail organizer who is here with us via video. It is Martin Cotra. Martin's there? Yes, he is, from the 100 miles of Istria. 100 miles. Hello, Istria. So 100 miles of Istria is the biggest Croatian trail race. Originally started in 2013 with only 237 competitors, has now evolved to an event with over 2,000 competitors, and is one of the most important trail running races in the region. And it has been part of the UTWT since 2016. So thank you, Martin, for joining us. And we'd love it if you would speak a little bit about the history of the Istria and how it's evolved over the past couple years in sport and tourism.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you hear me well.
Yes.
My microphone. So I'm very pleased to be with you. I'm here to speak a little bit maybe about the race, but more than that about the region. As the race started, I joined the race in the later years. At the beginning, there were a lot of volunteers and local people that started such race. So we have to give a credit to them. You talked about sustainability, about the volunteers, about the impact, the environment, and this is all a huge issue. Now, the problem in Istria, we started with such projects first with cycling. They started about 2004, 2005, a little bit more organized, and then after about 10 years, the development of the trail races started more seriously, and one of the pillars was the 100 miles of Istria, which was really the top event. Now, there is a discussion about the impact of such race on the environment and the local community, and actually, when the race started, I thought that everybody running in such race is a little bit crazy, because running such a long distance, I mean, why do you need that in life? But after the huge interest and the same comments from the local community, the things started to change. The trail was cleaned, it was used for another trails. Local people started selling accommodation, selling products. They started following the race, and year after year, the race started to change the environment or the community. So it was a huge importance. At the same time, we had a lot of cycling events, and we created a lot of walking and running trails in Istria, and they all start as a more or less new product. So after a couple of years of race, local people started coming to the race. They started watching what the organizer is doing, how they are cleaning the path, how they are removing the garbage, how they're keeping everything as more volunteer and more ecological. And then they started also watching the competitors, what the competitors are doing. So after following such race, and the organizers and participants, the local community started doing what they were seeing from such organizer, and it backfired. So actually, when we started and the organizer then needed to organize the race in a good way, local community started acting the same way after a couple of years. So it was really a huge impact. Now we in Istria, we have, I say it's a problem, or in another occasion, it's a good opportunity. We have big hotel companies. We have a really huge summer sea tourism that is connected to the sea, to the sun, and to the summer period from at least April or May until August, September. And it creates a big revenue income, and most of the tourism is focused on the summer period. And as you know also from your experience, probably in our country, pre-season and post-season are periods, for example in April or May and in September, when there are not so many tourists, and when is the target period for such races. And then the races are mostly held in such period. And then the next problem that comes with that, or the issue, is how much is such an event like 100 miles of Istria is doing an impact on local community. So after so many questions and after so many years discussing how much should the local tourist community help such race, such organization, we did a calculation, and it came out that for €1 that is invested from the side of the organizer in the race, we get back more than €100 as a community. So we put one, we get more than 100 back if you do all the calculations. So you were talking about, this is the impact regarding just the finance. The race had a budget that's about 5 to 7 times, that creates 5 to 7 times more impact on the local community regarding the expenditure, the income, you know, you have to come, you have to stay, you go to the restaurants, you buy local services, you come maybe a little bit earlier. So you were talking about local sustainability, and this is one of the things that I think when we talk about the ecology, when you say something needs to be ecological, I don't know, you can use solar energy and so on, but probably one of the most important things in ecology is to buy local products, local services, so you don't have transportation, you don't have big expenditures in such way. And all the colleagues that spoke before me, they said the same thing as I will say. We try, as all of us, to pay the services to the local producers, to the local people that maybe make the medals, shirts, packages, sacks, and everything that they do. So you get a gadget sack, and you get the local products. So it's actually, with this way you get revenue, but you spend it locally, and you actually do the local employment. If you get such a local producer, helps, of course, that he will live better and he will be more interested. But not just that, that all the other producers seeing that such an event can help will be more interested. Local tourist board will have more interest to help, to participate, to invest in such an event. And after some time, there will be more interest to organize another races. I can say with pretty much confidence that a lot of races, other races in our country, not just in our region, was looking on the 100 miles of Istria to create similar events. For example, towards the south, we have Dalmatia Ultra Trail or such races that they were watching 100 miles of Istria, trying to take the same system. And Alan, my colleague that is in organization, he said that mostly Mont Blanc was the top idea or motivation to create 100 miles of Istria. So if you see the cascade is going down, and it all helps in between. Then what we saw next is that when you do a campaign, for example, if you are a tourist board of such region, for example, in our region of Istria, you do promotional campaigns. You pay for articles, you call journalists in general. You try to make publications, campaigns. And then when you have such a race, like, for example, 100 miles of Istria, or any other of these top races, actually, people are sharing, you know this system, they're sharing on the social media. A lot of journalists will come just to stay here, be the part of the event, especially if they feel well, especially with the volunteers, and they do articles. And this is not just a publication, it's genuine, it's an honest interpretation of the race that you're not paying actually. You are getting a real honest written article with real photos, with someone doing it just because he likes it. And I think that we are all overwhelmed with artificial articles, artificial photos. And when you get something so honest and human, its value it's much higher than paid advertisement. So this is one of the very important things. And now when you're talking about the race, you will have to know where this race is from. So actually, with such a race, destination is highly promoted. And now the main question is whether it's who benefits more, whether it's the region or if it's the race. I think cooperation in such a way that they both work together it's not just good, it's really necessary, because this is the way how it's a huge pleasure to be on the map with huge events like Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, Cortina d'Ampezzo, for example, or any other race that's in the calendar. So when you see that little pinpoint, it's a huge help, because if we do just the screen, you know, we can talk for hours, you know, blah, 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 no problem. We are good, we are great. Everybody said it, we are really great. But then you just pop out a screenshot from the map. It help, although we would expect to get more help anyway, but that's very important. And then there is something something that's important. I told you in the beginning, there is a big importance for us, especially because for example, in Mont Blanc, I'm telling about Mont Blanc because it's really it's the top. So we create walking and running trails for tourists, because we have a lot of tourists coming to Istria as a local tourist region. They come in a hotel and they want to do a lap. They want to go running for 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers. They want to do bike ride for, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours. So we need to do such trails. And there is a problem of the ownership of the land. If you do demarcations and the tables for the direction, people will steal it maybe sometimes or destroy it, or it's hard to keep those paths cleaned from the vegetation. And in the beginning, it was a little bit a problem with the community. Now, when we have such races that are very well known and a lot of organizations of the lower level, people are keeping those trails clean. They're not, they're keeping the installations, the tables in order. They're not putting the fences on the path to block the passage of the people, because they know it's something that's, it's not that you will gain money from it. It's just that the whole region will live different attitude, will vibrate differently, and they see it as a way to participate in such a goal or a mission. So it was a huge problem, and I think with connecting destination and such races, it was really important to change the mindset and to help with such things, and the garbage and the participation and the position of the people. We also had the situation during the races that people in a village, without any contact with the organizer, they just put the table, they put the things there, water, and they were just cheering and helping the participants or volunteers or the organizers. So in general, at the bottom line, at the beginning, the organizer needed to go through to confirm their quality and their race, but afterwards, after they did first couple of years, it was really hard work. Then I think it's being slowly paid off, and I think that the impact on the destination is really is getting positive, and that I think that it's a good way to work, and we are trying to do it as a region and as the organizers.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Martin. And I'd just like to backtrack a little bit on the trails in the Istria region, which is quite interesting in the sense of when you started the race years and years and years ago, basically there was just a few runners. You said, here's the start, here's the finish, here are the checkpoints, off you go. The course wasn't marked or anything like that. Trails barely existed, yes, which you were speaking about just a little bit now. And now I just find it amazing that thanks to, you know, the promotion of trail running, thanks to your event, you have created over 1,000 kilometers of trails for the people to enjoy in the region, which is a legacy. You're literally leaving a legacy thanks to, you know, thanks to your event, which is truly phenomenal. So congratulations. Good job and everything that you've done.
I mean, congratulations to all the people
yes,
that helped and all the volunteers. You know, the first year when they came to the finish, it was a colleague of us. He lives near my place. He was running, and the trail was really dangerous in a couple of sections. And then he talked how much during the night he met wild pigs in the forest and all the other animals. And it was a little bit scary, but he said, I was pretty fast. I didn't think about that.
Faster than the wild pig.
So, and one thing that is really impressive, for example, at the beginning there was an idea. It's amazing how one word idea about let's make a 100 miles race or some other event, let's do such race, how much things come from one sentence or from one idea, one word. I was going on a music concert 500 kilometers away from my place because I had idea, hey, I know that group, let's visit the concert. Hey, let's do the race, 100 miles of Istria. And then now we are talking after 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 years, hopefully, about something that came out from idea, moved the whole region, our or any other region, created a very positive impact. And finally, after we are talking about ecology and volunteers, I think when you do a resume, a curriculum vitae, and you go to talk about your work, you have to find new work, or you need help from someone. That's a real life value. You need I don't know, to visit something to get an information, and then you go in your mobile phone. Now it's much easier, and then you scroll a little bit, and then you realize that between those 300, 400, 500 volunteers, there is a lot of people on all kinds of places, working positions, contacts. And I think that this is one of the biggest life values, things that can help. So you want to sell something or buy, you need a new working place, you need an advice where to go on a beach where there is nobody around. Then you call a volunteer from the last year's organization, and we get a good answer. So let's be practical. I mean, okay.
Oh, thank you so much, Martin.
Interested to help, they can go on the UTWT website, and we have an OTT platform where they can access all the episodes of Ultra Trail World Tour, and just for a little fee, annual fee, that full fee will go to Kilian's foundation. We wanted to be part and help also this extremely good initiative Kilian has had. And just to end, we are also partnering with Volvic, who's been a partner for Ultra Trail World Tour for the last 3 years. And they wanted for 2021 to be really more on this sustainability, because they have a huge sustainability program.
And we will be speaking about water in one of our next forums, actually. I don't know if it's the end of June or the end or early August, but that is one of our topics.
It's going to be on the forum too. So yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Marie. So thank you very much, Marie, Ingrid, Olivier, Cécile, Isabelle, and Martin. It was a pleasure having all of you with us here today. Your actions, ideas, expertise, and insight will hopefully give our viewers and ultra trail runners inspiration to take the sustainability values that we've discussed here today, that they find in trail running events, and bring them back to their everyday lifestyles to meet their needs, their everyday needs, but also be conscientious of the needs of future generations. And once again, that is the definition of sustainability, and that is the definition that Trail with Purpose, thanks to Marie, it makes sense, and we are going to be putting it in place, and we are so excited for this new project and bringing it to the forefronts to everybody, whether they're outside, inside, wherever they may be, taking the nature, being conscientious of it, and making good decisions and actions in accordance to where we live and how we need to survive. So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you in a month for the next topic. Take care.